The Tesla Model Y is probably the best vehicle I have ever owned. With new features and improvements constantly being added through software updates, it's like getting a new car again and again. Not to mention the driving experience of the Model Y. There are, however, particular things to know before you even purchase a Tesla Model Y. Some of these things are to ensure you get the best purchasing experience, while other ones are things to help you prepare for Tesla ownership. So in today's video, I'll be going over the things you should know before buying a Tesla Model Y. One of the first things you should know is that there are a bunch of people who you will certainly run into, who have some personal vendetta against Tesla, and despite not ever owning one or even sitting in one, they spend a lot of their time on social media saying bad things about Tesla, like answering questions what to know before buying a Tesla, with unhelpful and informative comments like don't buy one. Now before I go any further, let me preface by saying that I am not one of those Tesla fanboys. I have been critical of Tesla in the past, and I've made a handful of those videos. I will continue to be critical of Tesla when it's needed, because it's all things that can easily be improved upon by Tesla to make them a better company overall. With that being said, you will definitely encounter some of the quote-unquote Tesla haters while you're researching to buy your Tesla. Realize that these people exist and learn to spot and ignore them. That's not to say that people are not entitled to a poor opinion of Tesla, but learn to smell out the ones that actually have thoughtful and well-informative points to make. There is a lot of misinformation out there about Tesla, with most of it being negative. And there are people with real points to make, and people who are just busily spewing out regurgitated info that actually isn't backed up. You will often hear the naysayers say that a Tesla is quote-unquote more polluting than a gas-powered vehicle because of its initial production. This is somewhat a baseless argument, and while it may be true in some cases for EVs, they are definitely more efficient and far less polluting over the course of a couple of years of ownership than a traditional gas-powered vehicle. I went in depth on this with facts provided by a handful of real studies in one of my previous videos where I discussed the top 5 Tesla myths and misconceptions. If you're interested in that, you can check it out here at the top right of your screen or in the description below. After that, the first thing you should know is how the car works, at least a little. Enough to know how to care for an EV and what the pros and cons are. We've all grown up around internal combustion engine cars, and it's nearly impossible to go through life without picking up some basic knowledge about the basic operation and care. You don't have the benefit here. EVs are a very different technology. A significant amount of misinformation out there about EVs, especially Tesla, has this kernel of truth rooted in people who have had a bad experience with either an earlier, less refined version of the tech, or who have failed to educate themselves and gotten poor results, or had unrealistic expectations because of their lack of knowledge. So learn about what kind of things are harder on the battery and figure out if avoiding them will work for you. It will help your battery last longer. Also, figure out how you will charge it for your normal routine, and learn to use apps like a better route planner or the built-in navigation to plan long trips in advance, just so you have an idea how they will go. There are enough charging locations around to get you almost anywhere you want to go. The next thing you should know is how to charge your car, meaning your charging situation. If you're like most new Tesla owners, you wonder how charging works. For about 99% of the time, you charge your EV at home. There are 3 ways you can charge it. The first is through the standard 120 volt outlet with a Tesla mobile connector that is included with every Tesla. This gives you a charge rate of about 3 to 4 miles of range per hour charged. For some, this may be sufficient if your daily commute is reasonable and not that much. But for a lot of people, there are 2 other ways to charge your Tesla significantly faster. The next way to charge your Tesla is to have a 240 volt outlet installed. This is the same as your dryer, and you would get a NEMA 1450 plug to charge your Tesla, and you would run a 30 amp circuit for it. This bumps up your charging speed to around 33 miles of range per hour charged. Now finally, the third way to charge your Tesla at home is to have a Tesla wall connector installed. This is wired directly to your circuit box to a 60 amp circuit, and it brings your charging speed up to 44 miles of range per hour charged. This is by far the most efficient and convenient home charging solution for your Tesla. With all of these at-home charging options, they all take way less time than a gas station because you simply plug in your Tesla when you get home and it charges overnight. When you wake up, you are fully charged and you no longer have to stress about whether or not you have enough gas to get to your day as you would with a gas-powered vehicle. No more stops and no more waiting in line, wasting your time and inhaling the toxic and chemical fumes from a gas station. Other than charging at home, you obviously have the Tesla supercharging network with over 30,000 superchargers around the world. They can get you charged up in about 15 to 25 minutes. These are primarily meant when you're out on a road trip, and it gives you plenty of time for you to get a bite to eat or just stretch for breaks in between your road trip, just as you would with a traditional internal combustion engine vehicle. There are also third-party charging options literally everywhere, and there are plenty of apps out there that can route you to one easily. Another thing that you should know is that the Model Y is more like a crossover hatchback than an SUV. Based on the Model 3, the Model Y replaces the Model 3's trunk with a hatchback design similar to that of the larger Model S, but its styling is nothing like a traditional boxy SUV. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely an SUV, but leaning a little towards the crossover SUV side. The Model Y definitely has plenty of ground clearance and sits high up like a traditional SUV, but it is still a tad bit shy of the larger SUVs you're probably used to. The result is that it looks and feels a little like a taller Model 3 hatchback than an SUV, but I think that's a good thing. The bubble-like shape and taller roof give the Model Y more headroom and cargo room, and a much more comfortable rear seat. The improved rear seat space is the single biggest improvement over the Model 3. There's lots of headroom for rear seat passengers, along with plentiful foot space underneath the front seats. The seats in the back also have recline adjustment too. In addition to the extra room, the comfort of the rear seats have been improved with better leg support than in the Model 3, which has very little, especially if you're somewhat tall. The hatchback body style and folding rear seats also make the Model Y more useful than the Model 3 when it comes to carrying larger cargo. Another thing to know if you're buying a Tesla is to ask the sales reps if there are any incentives to purchase a test drive vehicle or a showroom one. Tesla in general isn't like the traditional car manufacturers where you can negotiate the price with. The price that is listed is the price that you pay. However, they do tend to lower the price of test drive vehicles a bit if you ask, especially at the end of each quarter or at the end of each year, in order for Tesla to meet their delivery goals. These sales incentives at the end of the quarter boost their financial figures, and if they don't budge on the price of the vehicle, they have in the past offered free supercharging and other cool little incentives. One of the final things to know before you purchase your Model Y is that when you're ready to take delivery of your Model Y, be sure to inspect it for any defects that will stick out. Tesla fixes any of these issues when you let them know, and sometimes it can even be done on the same day depending on their schedule. Though Tesla has some panel gap and paint issues, I have noticed these issues to be getting less as time progresses. When I took delivery of my Model Y, I thankfully didn't have any of these issues. I believe you have a 72-hour or 100-mile window to report any issues you notice when you take delivery of your Tesla, but I've seen Tesla definitely work with you outside of these bounds. I'll leave a link in the description for a delivery day checklist for your Model Y so you can go over it for when it's your delivery day. But in other cases, sometimes quality control slips and you're left with a not so desirable Tesla. In any case, if there are too many problems to your Tesla, don't be afraid to reject delivery. You're paying upwards of $60,000 to $70,000 for your Model Y, and you certainly don't want to deal with a lot of issues on the first day. Also, just because you see a lot of people posting about panel gaps and paint quality issues doesn't mean that all Teslas have them. You don't see people posting online about the normal panels and normal paint at their delivery. Hopefully now you know some of the more important things to know before you buy a Tesla Model Y. Overall, my ownership with my Model Y has been really good, and I highly recommend the Tesla Model Y for anyone that is in the market for one. If you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, and be sure to turn on post notifications to stay updated on more videos to come. I have a lot of cool videos coming up, and I don't want you to miss out on any of them. Comment your thoughts on this video, and if you have any insight you'd like to share. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.